Hi, welcome to another Tech Hour video. And we are so excited to have this session. It's been a while. And today's topic is going to be something that I think has been very requested by internally, externally, from partners, from clients, and that's basically since the release of 806, how to make that transition from the classic UI into the Freedom UI. So basically, what we're going to do today is explore what options we have as of this moment. And as of this moment, I will be working with 808 release. So if somebody is going to be watching this video maybe a little bit later, there might be some other things that you could do. So keep in mind that the version that I will be using and I will be showing to you today will be the 808 version. So, and the possibilities of how you can take this section that exists in the classic UI created in the section wizard, how that can be basically uh, converted, not converted, but how you can migrate that to Freedom UI. Now, the first thing that you need to keep in mind is basically that the migration part, that's only for the pages. So with the new UI, obviously, it's UI part. It's not the backend. It's not business processes. It's not any of the integration that you set up, unless it's something part of the page. It's a button on the page, something like that. It will not be affected. So basically, whatever you see here, kind of like on the page, and actually, let me open the old. The classic UI page, right? So this is the employee section that I'm going to use as an example in today's session. And as you can see, so this is still in classic UI. We will be taking it into the new UI, and I'm going to show you in just a moment what we're expected to have at the end of this process. But just a quick thing. Keep in mind that whatever is on this part of the page, that's the only thing that we kind of like have to change. If you have any logic pre-built, like business processes, anything that's maybe coded, and that's actually part there's one thing about employees section, which is done somewhere in the back end. Basically, how it fills out the name of the new employee. The name field. So that part still will be true for the Freedom UI. You don't have to redo this. The only thing that we have to redo is the page, and actually two pages, because remember in the Freedom UI you have the option of changing how the list page looks like and how the form page looks like. Uh, we are going to work with three pages. There is one more surprise waiting for you a little bit later in today's session, a third page. So this is what we're going to do. Let's look at the screen at this point. So first of all, notice that, and we talked about that during the demo of 806, and as I said before, it's we are still in the process of transition, right? So we're still working through the transition period, and some of the sections will be in classic UI. We haven't redesigned them. Some things we are starting to redesign, so you can expect changes in that. But employee section is one of the examples that hasn't been touched by those changes. And we will use that section as an example to show how we can migrate from the section wizard page into the Freedom UI page. Now, as you can see, first of all, that in this environment for me, I have enabled the new shell. Let me quickly remind you where you can find the shell, where you can enable or disable the new shell, first of all. Okay, where we can enable and disable the shell. So that's a system setting, right? So we go into the settings, system designer, settings, and we look for the system setting called use Freedom UI interface. Use Freedom UI interface. By default, in the trial, it will be enabled. Obviously, in your environments, you have the option of enabling it. So default value, if it's checked, so if the system setting is checked, it will be enabled. So it means that the new shell will be enabled. Now, save for current user. That lets you affect whether you're just making these changes for yourself or for other people as well. So, for example, if I want just see how things are going to look like in the new shell without affecting anybody else, I can say default value true and save changes, save value only for current users. That will affect only me without actually affecting anybody else, any users in the live system. So just wanted to show you where that is. Again, you don't. It's very easy system setting to remember. Just use the word freedom. Use freedom UI interface. This one is actually fairly easy to remember. Now, what are we going to do? Let me quickly go back to the employee section. So here's my section. There are some demo records in it. This is how the page looks like right now. This is the environment where I don't have anything built. And what I'm going to do is kind of like rebuild and renew this section. Obviously, I'm not going to have everything that's here. I think there's only in my test, I found only one limitation really. It's the user account, the user information, and all of that. So that I will not be able to show you how to get back onto the page. That's done with code. So, and right now cannot be recreated with the use of the Freedom UI Designer. There is a bit of a limitation in terms of how it's connected, how you can find the relationships that exist between the objects. But what are we going to do? We are basically going to take this section, this page, we're going to change it a little bit, so we'll make it probably more stylish. So let me show you the example I've been working on. So this is my new list page, and I have a neat little thing. I have a new quick filter. By the way, this is something that has been added in the most recent release, 808, which can allows me to enable quick filters without the use of code. That's something, again, that was only available to developers in Classic UI. Here, I can do this myself. And this is my list page. I didn't work too much on the list page. Obviously, there could be more done. My main focus was on the form page and things I have done here. So as you can see, it's a little bit more colorful. Here are my addresses. Oh, I think something got moved. I'll need to double check. Noteworthy events. Yeah, I think I was moving things and okay, we'll take care of that. Noteworthy events, career. So fairly similar looking page, but what we're going to do is basically try to create a new and better version of this page for the Freedom UI, right? I'll show you some of the components that we can utilize. Now, this is not going to be a video, basically a session that teaches you all about Freedom UI. Honestly, it's just going to take me a lot longer than probably 1 hour. If the Freedom UI, right now we teach it in guided learning courses. So for those of you, if you want a really in-depth experience, basically with the live, kind of like going through the training during live sessions and things like that, you know what to do. Go to the Academy website and sign up for the upcoming guided learning, which is going to start May 1st. So next, on Monday. It's going to be on Monday. And so basically, what we're going to do is just talk about things that are relevant to this migration, but we're going to skip a lot of the basic stuff that we cover in our monthly guided learning. So if you're curious and if you want to get the hands-on experience from the beginning, kind of like learning the Freedom UI from the beginning, where you start, things like that, sign up for the upcoming guided learning. Now, let's jump into today's session and let's start working. So I'm going to switch to a different environment and I'm going to show you where I would start. So I have this session, I have the object, I have kind of like the data in the system. So I don't need to create another object. Obviously, this is not how you would do this. My first starting point would be to go and change my prefix. So, because everything I will do afterwards will have the prefix in it, this is something I need to do before I work on transition the section into the new UI. So I'm gonna go into the system settings. Let's look for that prefix for schemas and package names. And if it's USR, you'll need to change it to something. I'm gonna just put my name here for now. That's what I usually do during the training. So this way I'll identify that I worked on this session, on this section. But obviously you probably have standard prefixes already in your systems. So this is what you'll need to do. Make sure that it's done before you get started. Now, the next thing, what I'm going to do is go into the application hub and create a new application. By the way, don't forget to ask questions. My colleagues will be helping me with the chat, so any questions that you have, post them there. We'll try to take care of them. If we don't know the answer, we'll try to get back to you in other ways. So all questions are appreciated. Let's go to the new application. And what we're going to do, we're going to build a new application based on kind of like a standard assumption that we're going to have business processes, records, and so on. As I said, I'm not going to go into the details of different templates that we have here. So this is just the one I will work on right now, because I'm assuming I'm going to maybe build some more business processes. There's going to be a section, there's going to be some pages, and so on. Okay, I'm gonna name my application employees. And I'm gonna go into the advanced parameters. So here's my application code, and it's going to be linked to an existing object. Here, existing object employee. The object name, obviously that's the object employee. The application name is employees. Now I can change the color. This color, you have the application color and you have the section color, so those could be different. And again, you have the icon for the application, and you have the icon for this section. So one application can contain multiple sections. Keep that in mind. Well, let's do something like that. Multiple people seems reasonable. You can obviously check out all the other icons that we have, find the one that you feel works best. Okay, now we have to be patient and let the system do its magic and create all the necessary things for us to work on. And one of those things will be actually right away, it's going to create 2 pages. It's going to create a replacing object, which is going to be under the sections and the data models, create a package. So that's something that you don't need to do anymore. So here, as you can see, my package right from the start. And while I work in the application hub, everything will be saved to my current package. So here is my add-on, client modules. Here they are. Sorry, I think I was a little spoke too fast. As you can see, I don't have the replacing object unless I change it. So unless I make changes to that object, it will not be here. My data models right now also don't contain anything yet, but once I start working on the form pages, those things will appear. Now, let's start working through the pages. Let's start adding things on them, kind of like creating this new page, and we will see how things work out. Also, when you migrate to the new UI, the classic pages do not go anywhere. They're still going to be in the system, and there is a way actually to control how the system will react and which pages is going to show the user. So I'm going to talk about that at the end once we're done. So how can you pull up the classic pages? How can you show maybe new pages and so on. Okay, so what do we have? We have the name field, and as I said, with the employees section, there is kind of like backend logic built into that, so the employee field will be filled in based on the contact information. And the contact name and the employee name will be the same. So I can leave it as required. Now, what I'm going to do, I'm going to create something kind of like similar to this page where I have at the top, I have a picture, Simon Clark, right, where he is based, his name, the contact. I can show more information. I have this toggle panel, by the way, which can hide or show information. So owner, and then I'm going to have the manager information as well. So let's start building. What I'm going to use first, I'm going to go down into my components and use the contact compact profile. Now, you can say, okay, but where is the contact data is coming from? If you look at the data model attributes, you will notice that all the columns that existed in the employees object are here, and I can work with them. So all these relationships, the object for my page is employee. Good, I can proceed. So to set up the component, double click. It's a value from another field. Uh, it's a value from the contact field, right? So this is what we are going to set up. For the contact compact profile, what you need to do is just give it a link to a contact record. It'll work out the rest. It will work. So then let's actually change this color. As I said, I will be using some of the things that are that you couldn't do before. So I'm going to change the color, the background for this particular area. Let's make different radius like that. So it's a little bit more rounded. So what else should we throw? Obviously the contact field. Let's throw it onto the page as well. All the information about the contact I want to put into that panel that will hide, and that's going to be my, again, a couple of changes. So let's say I'm looking at the, let me go, sorry, am I in the correct environment? Yes. So here, this looks a little too long, right? So what I want to do is basically kind of like minimize it, hide some of the information that's going to be available only by a push of a button. And then I have my manager information. So this is no longer configured by code. So to do that, I'm going to go into the toggle panel. I'm going to drop it here first. It consists of two things, the kind of like the buttons, the tabs, and the panel itself. Once you click on the panel, you can hide it or you can show it. So I'm going to move these a little bit above. So see how it will open the panel. And let's call this more information. And this is going to be my icon. Now I'm going to go back and delete the second one. I don't need it there. I change my label, more information. I'm going to change the style. Let's say, which one do I like? The caption large. That's kind of like my favorite one here. So, and what do we want to put in this more information? The job title, the full job title, kind of organizational unit, account, business phone, email, and so on. And notice how some of these things are non-editable. Why? Because I'm actually using a type of element called input. And input means that the information is not coming from this record directly, but it's coming from a different record, so I cannot modify it here. I need to open the contact record. So for example, here, Simon Clark, maybe this is, I can see, okay, this is not his most, this is not the email that's supposed to be there, so I'm going to go into the record. For Simon, here it is. And I'm going to update his email, Simon Clark, new, something like that. Again, as long as it's just a little bit different. Click Save. Go back. Now, it's still the old email here. Why? Because we went back to the cached version of the page. So I'm going to click this refresh button. It's going to refresh, and as you can see, the email is updated. If you're using, I know the refresh button was not working in some of the previous releases before 8. 808. I think even in 807, I personally had still some issues with that button, how it behaved, at least in the environments that I've used. Not sure what was the cause of it, but it looks like in 808 everything is working fine. So I can easily refresh everything. Okay, so let's drop that information into the page. So some of the things will come directly from here. So for example, account information, right? Job, job title. What else do we have? Job title, organization unit, business phone, email, birthday, and gender. Organizational unit. Dun, dun, dun. I think this is all, and everything else is going to be an input. So what do we have? Business phone and email. Let's do those first. Okay, let's rearrange. Business phone, data source for the business phone will be employee, then related object because one employee is based on one contact. So contact record, and there it's going to show me, for example, business phone for this person. Very easy. Next one is going to be email. Again, if we need to, we can rearrange this. Employee, related object, contact, email. Okay. Last thing is gender. Gender is a drop down. And last one will be birthday. So gender is going to be employee, related objects, that's going to be contact, and here I need to search for gender. And last date and time, that's the birthday. And as you can see, I don't have to type in the titles even for these inputs. It just takes the title of the actual field. So employee, related objects, contact, birthday. Okay, and as we can see, it will, once the panel is disabled, unclicked, it will disappear, and then it will appear as well. Okay, good. Then let's add one more field from the available here. That's our owner. I'm gonna close this panel as well, so I have a little bit more space on the page. And so really the contact part is done for me. So now I need to enter the manager part. I will build the manager on a different area here. So this is where I'm going to build the manager. Let's make it large border radius as well. Oh, this is a little too dark. Yeah, I'm going to go back to this color. So, and for manager, I'm going to start with the contact profile as well, because I do want that picture of the manager, and that's how I'm going to get it, the birth date and the country. And it's going to be value from another field, employee now. It's not going to be the contact field. Why? Because a manager is not the contact. The contact is the main record, right? That's the person who the employee record is for. But the manager is another employee, which means I need to go into related objects. It's manager, contact, and then I can pull the right information about who the manager is and display it here. I can also display it as a field manager. Here it is. And for manager, you can also have the full job title, phone, and business phone. Again, if the data is coming from another record, this is where you would be using inputs. So full job title is text. So here it's going to be employee, full job title, mobile phone, and business phone. So just let's do one just for the sake of the time. Employee, related objects, contact, because the phones are there. For example, mobile phone. So this is the manager information here. And as you can see, the good thing I double checked, because as you can see, the panel is a little bit below from what I would like. And so what I would do, I would move it. So once I created the second area, I'll just double check. It's like, oh, okay, now it's going to open correctly. Once I move the panel, now it's working well. So as you can see, you can fully recreate the page, or we can improvise and do other things that weren't fully available previously. Now, what I'm going to do, I'm going to create some information on these tabs. Obviously, it's not going to be that detailed. Right now, what do we have? We have the contact info, which is we have addresses, the list of addresses, and noteworthy events. So again, I was inspired by the actual page here. Right now, the communication options is not available as a object. I know it's in. I know it's in the works. So um, hopefully it will be available in the next release. But as of right now, we don't have the communication options. We do have address. We can recreate addresses and noteworthy events. You might be asking, like, okay, we have the object addresses? And if you'll try to look, you'll find that no, it's not exactly called like that. uh, Let me show you the trick that I use every time that I need to find out the actual object name of an object that's used in the section that was created by Creatio, right? Or by somebody else who, and I don't know what that is. I usually go into the column setup, or you can go into the detail setup, either way. Column setup, I think, is a little bit more useful, just because you don't have to be a developer, or you don't have to have all the permissions, because often enough the question arises from users that don't have all the permissions in the system, and column setup would be available to every user. So if they're looking for filters and they're trying to configure filters, and they're struggling with understanding, well, what's the name of that object so I can build all the relationships into my filter. Well, the column setup is a better choice than the detail setup, obviously, because it will be available to all users. So let's go to column setup. If you click on the plus sign here, contact addresses, right? So you don't have to guess. You can always go open the page and check how it looks like, contact addresses. So let's change this to contact information. I'm gonna give it a icon. Oh, sorry, I think, oh, I changed this one. I had more information. Sorry about that. Yeah, the tab, I did want to have the icon. Okay, so here I need to click on the general information. This is going to be my contact information. What I'm going to do, I'm going to add my first list. So let's say that I don't want the users to enter the addresses here, right? Their contact addresses, I want them to go into the contact record and look at and update the addresses there. Here, I just want to be able to see them. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to dun dun dun, put a label here. Put a label. It's a big label. Actually, let me remove this at the top. I'm gonna just stick with a container. Addresses. I'm gonna choose a caption large. Yeah, caption large. And by the way, I can make it bold, something like that. Change the text color if I want to. All of that is available. Okay, now after I give it a label, just because the list I'm intending to use is going to be this component, it's not going to have any labels to it, so that's why I want to create my own. I will not use the expanded list because I don't want to have those buttons by default to add a new record, and I don't want it to collapse as well. So let's say I want to put my list here, object, contact, address. Now I need to apply the filter by page data, data source, by contact. Contact equals contact in the addresses, right? So whichever contact I have selected here will equal this in the contact addresses. So, and I do recommend setting up your columns right here. So let me first hide this one. And I'm going to use, what do we need? The address type. By the way, um, the order in which you select these will be the order in which they appear. So the order in which you select the columns will be the order in which they appear. Address type, then let's go address, city, country, and whether it's primary. Oh, sorry, not primary, zip code first and then primary. Select. Here's my, so this one, I think just because oh no, I did want it that way. So yeah, zip code first and then primary. So here is my addresses. And what I'm going to do, obviously, if there are any addresses, they will show up here. Let's create, so that's the first kind of like detail. It's not exactly the same as detail in the classic UI Creatio, because here, as you can see, it comes with the option to add more. Let's say I wanted, so I realized like, okay, I want to remove this option. I don't want to grant people that option to work with. So that's what I'm doing here. Same for noteworthy events. I want to make sure that they always go to the contact record and just update everything there, maybe, right? So this is just for like informational purposes. So I'm going to use another label. Noteworthy events. Again, I'm going to do a large caption. Bold. Something like that. And I'm going to do another list. So this time it's noteworthy event object, a page data, contact to contact. So again, this is something new that's been added to 808 release. So it fills it automatically based on the selection that I make. So makes it a little bit easier. Okay, first tab is done. One more tab to go. And with that tab, we're actually going to have a little bit more fun. So what I wanted to do here on the career tab, besides just adding the fields here, I want to show you how to work with the expanded list. And additionally, I want to show you a new page type that has been added in 808, which is a model page, or kind of like a mini page. So if I click on the plus sign to add a new career, notice many pages are back. Now, I have to say, it's a little, they are right now, it's kind of like clicking the mini page for add, edit, and delete option. So in the classic UI sort of sense, so once you assign a page to an object as a mini page, that's the only page it's going to have. Keep that in mind. You cannot, as of right now, as of 808, you either have a full page or a mini page. So for now, these work really well for basically your details or lists that you're including on pages, but not so great if you try to have kind of like imitate this. Let me show you. So when we had two pages, right? So I had the new employee, I had the mini page, and then I create, so I select my contact, let's say Alice Phillips, click save, and then I can open the full page. Right now, that's not an option. So once you've selected a mini page, this is the only page you're going to have. Keep that in mind. Okay, but nonetheless, we are going to look at how to work with that. This is something new, and yeah, pretty exciting. So I'm going to build this second tab for career. And if you want, you can use icons here as well. Let's actually do that. Which one? Maybe this one. And here I'm going to add an icon as well, just so it's kind of like symmetric in style. So, okay, career. What I'm going to do, I'm going to add a couple of fields for the, what do we need? Start, due date, probation, reason for change. Start date. Start, so let me close this. Start date and date, right? Or due date, sorry. Due date. Probation ends. And reason for job change. Again, I'm not going to the detail why I have kind of like a grid here and why I don't have it. If you are curious about it and if you need more understanding, again, I do encourage you to sign up for any of the upcoming guided learnings. We work on these things extensively, plus I will be adding more things based on the new, obviously, release. So there will be even more things compared to the previous session. Now I have these fields and I will add my expanded list. Okay. So this is going to be my what do we want? Career in our company. Career in our company. Okay. Then I'm gonna choose my object again. If I need to double check, I can always go, for example, if I'm working on things, column setup, employee career in our company. So this one, as you can see, is pretty self-explanatory. Okay. Career in our company. I need to make sure to set up the data by filter, data source employee, and okay, it's by employee, ID and employee, right? We have the employee record. Okay. Yes, because there is another one, I think, based on the contact record. So always double check what you have in the field for the object that you're working with. So this filter is here. The pre-configured filter is this magnifying glass, and basically allows you to search through the list. What I'm going to do afterwards, and one of the things, by the way, with starting with 807 release, I don't have to go and set up these buttons anymore. Once I pick the object, the system will make those checks for me. So, which is great. Again, I'm gonna hide this, and what do we want? Account, organization structure, job title, full job title, start, end date, and current. Okay. So, account. Mm, organization structure, job title, full job title, start date, due date, and current. Okay. So once I've saved these columns, they will be available to all users. Users can also change the columns in the list. Keep that in mind. And if you select go back to the default settings, this is what they will see by default once they go back to the settings. So let's double check. Okay, this is set. The plus button. Well, so the plus button, as you probably know, if you've tried the classic, if you have tried the Freedom UI Designer, allows you to add basically records into an object. Now, there is a standard page basically and so on. What I want to do is kind of set up a new page. So open new record, employee career company. It would still work. It would just go to the old page. But what I want to do is change that. So what I'm going to do is click on open page setup, and I'm going to create a new page for this object. So to do that, I'm going to click on the plus sign. And here is the new page template that I talked about. This is kind of like the surprise part. So we're talking about more than 2 pages. This is the mini page. Okay, let's click select. Let's design that mini page and save it. So the title is locked. The title will be the display. Let me double check. The title is the new record value, basically. So the title you cannot change. The system will pick it automatically. Right now it says if you click on it, it's going to be attribute value used for that. Okay, so what I want to show here is account. And by the way, don't be afraid to make this mini page long. The system will give you the scroll bar. So what did I add previously? Account, organization structure, item, job title, so things like that. Let's organization item, job title. And keep in mind, this is so this is the only page that's going to be available to the user. So if you have to put you have to put all the fields that are necessary to work with. Right now, it's not that many page that you think about in terms of from the classic UI. Not yet, at least you don't have the options to enable, disable this. So I have to put all the fields if I want them to be filled in, for example. If I don't want to modify the list in the list view. Reasons for job change. Okay, but I do have the freedom of basically what I want to work with, and I want I want the current to put here, right? And I'm gonna change the position, right? Okay. Okay, so as you can see, I have a little bit more freedom in terms of what I can do for this design. Model page, okay, click save. We're saving the page. We will finish the employee form page, and then we're gonna do the list page, and then take a look at kind of like the final result. So, okay, everything is saved here. I'm going to save this page as well. I will. Oh, okay. I did. I still need one thing. One thing that I will add is the refresh button. So I'm going to show you how to add that. And the refresh button is a standard button. Basically, it's one of the actions that can be applied to a button. Refresh actions. Refresh data, which data from the employee page data, right? So, and it has no menu items. I'm gonna use an icon, and with buttons, if it's a self-explanatory button, you can just minimize it to be um, just the icon. Okay, so this is kind of like the last thing I wanted to do to this page, then we're gonna go to list page, reset a couple of things there. I'm gonna show you how to work with a quick filter, and we are going to test everything. Okay, so now I can work on the list page. I'm going to, as always, set the list columns here. So it's name, contact. So just give me a second. I'll just take a quick peek at what contact, job, full job title, something like that, right? Full job title, maybe a manager. Here are my columns. Now, the thing I do want to show you about this page, which is a little bit new, that's the quick filter. So basically, if you remember, we in the classic UI, we had these period filters for activities. Sometimes we had kind of like based on the owner search. So a lot of sections like orders, leads have those. Now you can configure those yourself. And the only constraint right now, I would say, so if we're talking about how this works for as of 808 release, it can only do booleans. So enabled, it will apply a filter. Disabled, it's not going to apply a filter. So keep that in mind. It cannot do the period yet. I'm assuming there will be more things because in previous release it was just tested. But what I'm going to do, I'm going to put this to folders, quick filter, double click, filter type. Oh, sorry, there is a period one. So the date and time, that's the period one. Custom one, it's true or false. But it's not as versatile as you had the in the classic UI. When you put it in code, it basically, if it was a drop-down value, you could have chosen the value yourself. So keep that in mind. So right now it has to be true, false sort of situation. Custom. Component to filter. I'm going to filter the list employee, so basically this, and I'm going to set up the filter. See, default check box stay checked, unchecked, apply filtering, apply filter conditions when the box is checked, apply filter conditions when the box is unchecked. So you have to think about whatever you put in the title. Right now it's called quick filter. For me, it's going to be, for example, current employee. And what do I mean by current employee? They have to work. They have to have a record that they are working for our company. That it's the current has the check mark, and it's for our company, right? So again, this is a very classic filter setup. So let's wait, and here let's add conditions. So it's going to be the employee can have many records in the career, employee career in the company, so to speak. Columns quantity, they have to have the record first, and we're saying that it exists with which basically qualities. First of all, we have to say that it's current, and that's checked yes, right? And the account is our company. Our company. Okay. Click save. Default checkbox state it's unchecked, and apply conditions when checked. I can put a hint if I want to, and so on. Okay, let's save, and let's finally test our uh, our new application. As you can see, we pretty much done this in under an hour. Yes, I've picked a very simple section for an example. It doesn't have that many things in it, so that was easy. Okay, let's click run application, and let's take a look. Okay, so voila, this is our new list. If you search, you will see that I don't have a duplicate of this application, so uh, um, one second, let me refresh this probably. Maybe I have to log out and log back in. There's another thing, um, and sorry about that. So another thing about employees section is that it's not automatically added as a section in here, so that's why it wasn't visible previously. If you try to search for it, yeah, this is refreshed when you need to log out and log back in, basically. Let's click exit. Okay. um, I'm hoping you're enjoying this as well. So my cat is just being playful. Okay, no, 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 no. We're not doing that. Okay, now that we have refreshed, I should go under my applications. Here's my employees section. We can find it here. Here is the list view. Okay, let's go into the record view. Let's open one of the existing records. Here are my addresses. Okay, it did. Okay, I'll double check why this is so expanded. Here's my Simon, Valerie. Now let's go to careers. I want to show you the model. Okay, this is apologies how the mini page looks like. Here it is, as you can see. So I can say, okay, our company. He worked maybe in marketing, specialists, start date, and it's gonna say, I'm gonna say it's current. Okay. I forgot to do one thing, and again, always check, always check your settings. So let me show you what I forgot. What I need to do is go back into the settings, and I need to fill in the employee field automatically with the value of the employee record from which I'm coming from. So that's one thing I forgot to do. To do that, I need it actually done here on the, see here, everything's looks fine. Interesting. Um, so what I need to do is on this plus button, there's one, which column to automatically fill in, and that's the employee one. Here it is with the ID, right, of the record. So value from another field, employee ID. Okay, so when that is done, I will be able to create a new career in the company. Okay, so let's refresh. We're almost done. But as you can see, depending on what you have on your pages, it might take obviously a little bit longer to recreate things. If you have any custom code on pages, that will, some of those things can be now recreated using the standard components available in Creatio. Some of them you'll have to probably recreate with code again. So here things might be a little bit different. Like buttons previously had to be created by developers. Now creating a button is very, very easy. It's a standard component. So depending what you have to recreate in order to move into the new UI, those things might be different. Okay, so this is our second test. Company, marketing, specialist. Oh, I didn't put the current in. No worries. I'm going to say, okay, this is current. Save changes. Now, so this is the page. Again, if I modify something, I can refresh it with this refresh button. More information will appear in this panel. Everything that I have shown, we were able to recreate in pretty much under an hour. On the list page, let me show you. Here it is, the current employee. Only two people have the match the filter criteria, and that's Simon and William, as you'll check. And that's why they show up. So this is the thing I wanted to show you. If you're wondering, because in my previous environment I had these colored lookups, this is available starting with 8.06 release. It takes a little bit longer to work on this. You have to create a replacement object for the, if it's a lookup that's in one of the base packages, create a column color, and then you can assign colors to each values. So if you're curious how to do that, that's another thing that we cover in the guided learning. By default, we always go through how to work with this. So I hope you found this session useful. As I said, this information is current and valid as of 8.08 release. There might be some other things coming up, but maybe we'll have other recommendations in the future. But as of right now, this is, as you can see, if you don't want to wait for anything else to come out, and you have, so this is where you need to evaluate yourself, whether you have enough of business rules that we have currently on the Freedom UI pages. Keep in mind that the filtration business rule has not been released yet. That's the only business rule. We have extra business rules as well. So evaluate, do we have enough to work with? You can also start, as I said, you don't have to, you can start working on these and creating these applications, but oh, and let me show you that. So let's say I go into the, I'm still kind of like in the classic UI, and I want to keep the classic UI pages. So if the system has two sets of pages for the same object, let me default value, that's for me. So I'm going to go back into the classic UI. Let's click close. by default, Creatio respects the rule classic UI pages in classic UI, new UI pages in new UI. There could be sometimes the system doesn't like to will load the new section. At least I have seen that, and one of the ways to make sure that it's a little bit more consistent in loading, for example, the classic pages versus the new UI pages, if you have those, would be this object-specific form page interface in Freedom and Classic UI shell. Just look up with the word page. So for object employee, I wanted to always load for classic shell, classic pages in Freedom UI shell, Freedom UI pages. You can also say, well, I always wanted to be classic pages, for example, right? So but let me log out and come back in, and I'm going to show you what has happened. So let me log in. This way, and if you're not, you can also enable the uh, new shell, and you can disable showing those new pages because maybe you're not ready and you still want to use the classic pages. So see, I logged in into my applications. Here's the employee section. Here is my classic page. Here's my Simon Clark. If I go, I will see the classic page. I will not see the new UI page. Additionally, if I said, okay, only use classic pages, please, I'm not ready to show my creation yet. I'm still working on that application. I can do that. So what I'm going to do is go back to system settings. I'm going to go into the new shell, but the system will still respect my settings from that lookup. And I'm going to still see the classic pages even in the new shell, even though I have new pages, right? So maybe I still need to work on them. Once I'm ready, I can release that and release those pages to basically all the users from our side. So okay, so interesting. It was supposed to show me the. I honestly did expect the classic pages here, but I'll double check. Uh, but there is that lookup usually allows you to control the settings, so you can use it. Again, we can there's another system setting that allows you to control that, so you can fully suspend any actually let me find that. So there's a system setting and there's a lookup, and mm, oh, top panels, default form pages in the Freedom UI. Let's actually say that the default will be classic pages, okay? So again, we're saying that there's a link so you can learn more about it. Let's log out and log back in. And basically, well, this one is supposed to be a little bit more restrictive because again, it's for all objects versus the object specific. Yes, no. Okay, I'll need to go read the article myself. But when I went back to the classic UI, as you can see, it did work. So the system is capable of working with two sets of pages, and you could basically design the page and release it only when you're ready. Okay, I'm hoping we answered all of your questions today, and I hope you enjoyed the session. See you soon in another Tech Hour session. Thanks. Bye.